I bought a haunted VHS from the Silk Road, audio narration. I get a kick out of buying things illegally. Nothing wild, mainly dumb haunted stuff on the Silk Road. My boyfriend freaked out at first, but then my third haunted mirror showed up, a hot pink plastic Polly Pocket looking glass. He just laughed at me. Yeah, whatever, it's a stupid hobby, I'm sure you're into dumb stuff, too. Bottom line is, things got bad. Last night, I got some Chinese takeout from my favorite local spot. As I slurped down lo mein, loaded with a ton of Szechuan spice, I started browsing for more mirrors under the portals to Hell Tap. The dark red peppers burned my tongue, and the noodles had that perfect, greasy chew. Everything I scrolled by was stupid. Things like toilets labeled portals to hell by jokesters. Then I came across a VHS tape in the seller's listings. My brain started buzzing. Think about it, we stare at ourselves in mirrors, not only for our appearance but deeper perception than that. Recording yourself and playing it back on film is the same thing, right? Before I knew it, my fingers clacked loudly onto the keyboard, and the crypto exchange was finished. I know, alright? Mirrors are cliché AF. That's what I thought when I first bought one. I didn't have anyone but my boyfriend to show them to. Seriously, though, this stuff's real. You have to hone in on the perception of it. Looking through different mirrors, seeing different versions of yourself. Bottom line is, if you go looking for trouble on the dark web, you're gonna find it. It's easy to say that now, I guess. Before, when I ordered mirrors, delivery times varied. One showed up a week later, another half a year later, it's completely random, and about 30 minutes after I bought the VHS tape, there was a knock at my door. My apartment reeked of Chinese food and dirty cat litter. I really wasn't ready for visitors. I tossed on my slippers and my worst bitch face, but when I answered the door, no one was there, but there was a package on my doorstep. The faint sound of distant traffic filled the silence. I was already exhausted, but scoured the net for a VHS player that I could pick up the next day. Now, let's move to the present day. The bottom line. When I opened my prize, there were actually two tapes inside. One unlabeled, old, and dirty, with a musty chemical odor, while the other looked brand new and had been labeled watch first. I followed the directions and was really disappointed when there was nothing but static on the tape. It was looking like I'd been burned again, but when I got up, I noticed the TV reflection in my Polly Pocket mirror. And within the reflection, something playing on the television. A dark-skinned, bearded man appeared on the mirror. He sat in a bathroom and ran a hand down his face. I tore into my box of cherry Twizzlers, and dropped into my chair, using one as a cherry straw for my Diet Coke. My name is Harry and I'm being held prisoner, he said, sliding his hand down his face. If you're watching this, it means you followed directions. That's good, because if you didn't, you wouldn't have time left. Not gonna lie, Harry's vid was seriously messed up. I had a hunch it had been edited, but who would put that much money and effort into special effects? The sour flavor of artificial cherry bubbled in my guts. I couldn't bring myself to eat any more after watching it. Things hadn't gotten so bad yet, but I can still feel the rough, almost sharp edges of the VHS tape in my hands. I dunno if I'll have time before the cops show up, but if I do, I'll try to transcribe Harry's video to text and post it after this. After Harry's account, I decided not to play the second tape. The whole thing made my skin crawl, and I just wasn't into it anymore. Okay, yeah, shut up. I was scared. I figured I'd tape them both up and resell them, but when I reached out to grab the second tape, it was nowhere to be found. I took a small break to collect myself and rip a dab. My head was spinning. I immediately regretted smoking. I was already too paranoid, but it helped me come to the conclusion that my boyfriend probably moved the tape. I can still taste the ghost of earthy marijuana on my lips, even now. When I walked into our media nook, I found him with Harry's tape. The static screen cast an ethereal shadow, highlighting his cheekbones. Hey, you didn't happen to see the other VHS tape lying around? I inquired. He didn't look up from the screen, his face bathed in the flickering white light. I figured he was trying to be creepy. Bottom line is, that's when things got the worst. There never was a second tape, he said, barely above a whisper. I double-checked and saw that the screen was black static, then I lifted my mirror and saw the video in its reflection. Instead of Harry, it was something else entirely. My heart plummeted. In the mirror's reflection, I saw myself lying in a bathtub, completely decapitated. My body was unmistakable, highlighted by the owl tattoo on my chest. My boyfriend, who weighs less than me, a little guy, you know. The way he hit me was unlike anything I've felt before. I dropped hard to the ground. He didn't say a word before he stabbed my thigh with a pair of scissors. I screamed loud, my flesh burned, and even writing this now makes the pain flare up. I scrambled to the front door and swiped the mace I carry for when I'm walking home from work. I sprayed his eyes and it didn't faze him at all. He was completely possessed. He stabbed me 2 more times. I think I'm still bleeding. I don't really remember exactly how it happened next, but I grabbed my Stanley cup and slammed it into his head, and then I did it again. I actually don't remember stopping. Not until a little while ago. I just kept hitting him. I don't remember killing him, but there's so much blood, so much brains, and my own vomit, the stink is still on me. This experience, if you want to call it that, probably better to call it a mess. It's taught me a lot about myself. Mainly that I don't really care that my boyfriend's dead. I've called the cops on myself, and I'm not writing this to build up an insanity case. I couldn't care less, not after what happened tonight. Bottom line is, we've reached the worst case scenario. I've looked everywhere, I can't find that tape.